amazing. You hear me all right? Maybe I have to turn this stuff on. Nothing yet, Jimmy. There we go. Well, good morning. So here we are. It's Easter Sunday, and my intention today is to give you the principles about Easter. You know, this is a time in the Jewish tradition of Passover where the children of Israel were on the run, and one of the last things that Moses, the last plagues that Moses put on the Pharaoh and all the people who kept him in captivity, was that the firstborn son of all the families would die, and that's what happened. I mean, and then the Israelites ran, and they ran to their little settlements, their little homes, and here come the Pharaoh, because the Pharaoh now changed his mind about letting them go, and he was going to kill all the young men of the Israelites. However, the angel of death, God, the angel of death in the allegory, in the story, said, put the blood of the lamb on your doorsteps or on your doorposts, and they'll be spared. They won't be killed. And that was like the story of the Passover, that the angel of death passed over. And in the story, it's also stop running from the enemy, whatever the enemy is. If it's, I'm afraid I don't have enough money, I don't have enough looks, I don't have enough health, I don't have enough prosperity, whatever it is, I don't have enough relationship. Stop running away from yourself and doubting yourself, and face the enemy within, and heal, knowing you're whole, perfect, and complete. Do you know, this week, the oldest living person in the world just passed on. Her name is Emma Morano. 117 years old when she passed on. I don't know if she's the oldest person to ever live, but the oldest person, she's not, I don't think, but she's the oldest one that was living now. 117 years old, and my God. Now here was her philosophy on life. If you get into an abusive, she got married once in her life back in 1938, and he was an abusive husband, and she ditched him like a bad coal, like, just got rid of him. So my first philosophy is get rid of people who abuse you in your life. Number two, think for yourself. If somebody else is doing your thinking, she said somebody else is living your life. Think for yourself. And the third thing is eat a lot of raw eggs. Now, a little Italian lady, eat a lot of raw eggs. So that was her advice. But today is about spiritual principle. Now, here is the man called Jesus. He called himself the Son of Man more than he called himself the Son of God, because he knew he was both. He knew he was human and divine. Today, the title of the talk is Arise to Your Spirituality, Your Humanity, and all of who you are. Here's what it says in John chapter 10. These words are ascribed to Jesus the Christ. I lay down my life that I might take it back up again. No one takes it from me, but I do this by myself. I am the one who has the power to lay it down, and I am the only one who has the power to take it back up again. Now, please hear me. There's a lot of people feeling guilty this morning because they crucified somebody approximately 2,000 years ago when they weren't even there. Even a court today, if you weren't there, you're innocent, right? You're innocent. And he spoke about the innocence, and his being and his life was to prove that death is a lie. That's why he's the only one in any kind of history that we have who came back as the person who left. People ask me, Brian, do you believe that? Do you believe there really was a Jesus? Do you really believe that? And I said, sure. Well, how do you know? You weren't there. Well, I asked him, do you believe in George Washington? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, how do you know? Well, I read all about him, and you know, that was only a few hundred years ago or so. Well, the same thing. I read all about him. This is what I choose to believe, and I choose to believe everything he said, that what's possible for him is possible for us. As the Catholic mystic Meister Eckhart said, Jesus came not as the great Redeemer, but as the great reminder as to what's possible for us. Now, here's the thing about it. If you feel guilty, you'll feel like a bad person. And bad people create havoc and messes and trouble in their life, because if you feel guilty, you will believe that you do not deserve to be happy. And if you don't deserve to be happy, the deservability is your belief, and you won't be happy. And a great way to be not be happy is not get what you want. That's what it's about. I heard of a story about a man one day, and he walked back in his backyard, his little condo there, his little backyard. And what he noticed, he just looked over the fence, couldn't find his dog. The little dog had dug under the fence, and the dog was next door with the lady's rabbit, who she had the rabbit, and they dragging it all over the place with the dead bunny all over the place. He thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? I feel so bad, I feel so guilty. So he took the rabbit home. She was out, he saw that her car was gone, so he gave the rabbit a bath, blow dried it, shampooed a little bit, made it look really, really fluffy and beautiful. And he took it and he put it back in the cage. That way he wouldn't be busted and his dog wouldn't be busted, right? He didn't have to feel so bad. So what happened is later on that day, he heard, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, my rabbit, my rabbit. And he came running over there to console her. He said, ma'am, it's okay, pets die. It's all okay. And she said, it's not that. I buried him 3 days ago. Yeah. That's what guilt will do to you. It'll hook you every time. It'll hook you every time. Now, all the positive changes in your life and my life, all the positive changes in your life and my life come from one thing: resurrecting your belief in yourself to a higher place, a higher belief. Ernest Holmes said something I love in the sides of my textbook. He said this: the resurrection is the death of the belief that we are separated from God. Death is an illusion alone and not reality. God cannot die. Now, the primary cause of unhappiness in people's life, it's not the situation. It's not that we don't have the relationship that we want. It's not that we don't have the health we want. It's not that we don't have the prosperity that we want. It's because we're looking for things out there to give us our happiness. Nothing out there can give you your happiness, and that's what Jesus taught. The kingdom of heaven is within you. The joy is within you. That's why I said, I am joy. I am love. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Please let me listen. Even if you don't believe who I am, please believe what I do. Just believe it. Ernest goes on and says this: what we want in life is to be free of poverty, unhappiness, and fear. We want to be free of that which entombs us. I love that. It entombs us and keeps us from experiencing life in all its fullness now. Unhappiness is caused from looking out there and thinking, we're incomplete. I'm incomplete unless I have something out there. A certain amount of money, certain title, certain relationship, certain you fill in the blank. And really joy and happiness, the kingdom is within. That's why he kept saying, not go here or there, the kingdom is within you. He said in this thing called life, Ernest Holmes did, he said, Jesus was a happy, radiant soul. He said, I have come that you might have joy. I have come that you might have peace. I have come that you might have life. You know what? Suffering is not intelligent. I believe that everybody here is real high on the intelligent curve because everyone here is a questioner. We don't live in our pat answers. We live in questioning. And I know that everybody here is intelligent enough to know that suffering buys you nothing. It absolutely buys you nothing. It just gives you more suffering because we keep recreating our lives. There's a story about a king in the kingdom, and he was suffering a lot. He was suffering because he felt alone. He was suffering because he felt disconnected with people. He was suffering, and the reason he was suffering, he had real tender feet, and he couldn't walk around the kingdom and visit with the people. He saw the peasants and all the slaves, and everybody could do this, but not him. So he put up a word to the kingdom, and he said, you know what? If anyone carpets the whole kingdom so as I can walk on soft carpeting, I will give that person what they want. And 3 of the finest craftsmen that lived in the kingdom came up, and the first one said, I will do it. I will make it such that you will have carpet all through the kingdom. He tried, and he got a couple of miles of carpet done, and he gave up. The king put him in jail for the rest of his life. He gave up. The second one said, I will do it. And he had a richer carpet, more carpet. He had the most carpet of anybody in the kingdom. And he only got about a mile done. And there was miles and miles in the kingdom. It was like 40 miles in circumference. And so the third one said, I will carpet the kingdom for you. And he leaves, and he comes back the next day, and he got a pair of shoes. And he said, here, my king, these are for you. And he said, I'm going to put you in jail and make you suffer a lot because I wanted my kingdom carpeted. I hurt my feet. I can't walk. And he said, put on the shoes. Put on the shoes. Oh, man. He said, what is it? What did you do? And he said, you said carpet the kingdom. Look at the bottom of your soles and heels. It had big carpeting on there. And the king not only freed him, and he said, you said you would grant me any wish. I want you to free all of the slaves in the kingdom. And also, another thing, if you'd like to throw it in, the king broke in and said, you know what? You have made my life. You're going to have a castle as rich as mine on the opposing hill. You're going to have anything you want. You're going to have money. You're going to have jewels. You're going to have food. Your family will be rich for the rest of their lives. And the little man who made the shoes said, I was hoping you'd throw that one in. You know, life is full of surprises and bonuses and wonderful things when you expect surprises and bonuses and wonderful things. Now, resurrection is the way that you feel when you let go of self-judgment and self-condemnation. You're full of life. You're full of aliveness. You're exactly who you are, fully alive. In Colossians 3, it says this, if you have been risen with Christ, seek those things which are above. Do you know you can't help somebody up a hill if you try to push them up the hill? You know, you only can help somebody up a hill when you're what? Above them, so you can pull them up. If you want to pull up your family and the people that you're trying to get to love you and you're trying to satisfy them, instead of that, just stand on higher ground and pull them up. And don't be manipulated by the guilt, by the duty that people think, you have to them. And just set them free by setting yourself free. You can't set anybody free until you are free indeed. Absolutely. There's a wonderful man. His name is Ben Arki. And he's Nigerian. And he said this. He said, the most authentic thing about us is our capacity to overcome, to endure, to transform, and to be greater than our suffering. When you keep your old hurts alive, it shuts off your ability to see yourself as a loving person, and there is suffering, and self-inflicted. Most of we have pain with disease or whatever, and we go through it, but most of that elongated suffering in life is self-elected. I just love it. I just love it. When you stop suffering, you see a love inside of you and inside of everyone else that is absolutely amazing. When you're into suffering, you love people? No, you can't, because you're into you. When we stop suffering and we realize that we've got some good to do on this planet, we see love in people everywhere we go. I see love in every one of you. It doesn't matter what you've done. It's who you are inside your spirit. This fear of death, I like to study gravestones, famous gravestones, and there's one in England that I especially like. And it says this, on the gravestone, "Remember me as you pass by. As you were once, so was I. As I am now, so you shall be. So prepare for death and follow me." True story. Somebody wrote this below. "To follow you, I'll not consent until I know which way you went." The fear of death is a good thing. It keeps us alive. You've heard me say I'm in the last quarter of the game right now in this reality. Some people say, I wonder if there's life after death. Sometimes I meet people and I think, I wonder if there's life after birth. Come alive. It's like, you don't worry about dying when you're living your life fully. It's when we complain and we feel self-pity and all the things that don't belong to us. Absolutely. The ego stuff. I just love it. I've never shared this story. In fact, Sheila's never heard this story. When I was going through my divorce from my first wife, I felt guilty, wrong. I was responsible. I took the load of guilt for her unhappiness, my unhappiness, the kids' unhappiness, carrying the cross of other people's stuff, right? Like I was the one that ruined the relationship. I was the bad husband. I'm the bad father. Oh me, oh my, I am terrible. I am terrible. I am terrible. And I'm going to have to divorce my wife. It's just not working. And all my Catholic stuff came up. Oh my God. I could see Father Ginty saying that the people are going into hell like the leaves off the tree. And only a few people are going up. And it sure doesn't look like it's going to be any of you boys in this room. Now, just in case I do the sign of the cross, I do the Buddha beads and meditate, do all of it. Just in case I'm in the wrong religion, I want to have my bases covered, don't you? Absolutely. That's why I love religious science. It is all of them and includes all religions and doesn't make any of them wrong. So I had this friend, and her name is Sandy, and I said, Sandy, I'm going to have to divorce my wife. It's just not going to work. And she was really a great metaphysician and a great person. And I said, I can't make the decision. I said, it's so hard to make the decision. And she said, you might want to try something. When I have a real hard decision to make, I go up, where you live past that cemetery? I go into that cemetery right there in Highland, and I park in among all the gravestones, and I think, how important is this decision? And if I don't make this decision, what's my life going to be like, and what's the people's lives going to be like around me? So I did it. I pulled in there, and I looked at all those gravestones and all the people that went on in their next experiences, and I thought to myself, what's it going to be like? Well, what's the possibility? It could be great for my kids. It could be great for me. It could be great for my former wife, my first wife. And now, as I shared, I saw her just a few weeks ago for the first time in 32 years. I thought, it is good for her. She's happy. The kids are happy. Nobody's broken. It's like we all healed from it. It was a good thing that we did it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Ralph Waldo Emerson said this. Now, please hear me. Jesus said something I love. He said, there's a great future ahead of you if you allow yourself to leave the past in the past. He said, when you live, put your hand to the plow and look forward and keep going forward. Let go of the guilt, let go of the obligation, let go of the duty, or we become slaves to our own thinking. Ralph Waldo Emerson said this, what lies behind you and what lies in front of you pales in comparison to what lies within you. The very Spirit of God lies within you. It's there. It's who you are. You are spiritual. You are human. You are all of it. I just love it. Now, you know, I noticed this about me. When I let who I used to be get in the way of the person I want to become, the past keeps drawing me back to who I used to be. When you stop it and say, stop it, I'm not who I used to be, and I'm not who I'm going to be, but I am who I am right now, and by God in me, that is enough. Does it make sense to hear? That is enough. Emerson went on to say, nobody can bring you peace but yourself. Now, you can only create a reality that's equal with your belief. If you go around thinking and the mind chatter is going on, ain't it awful, gee, the world's coming to an end, you know, the political system isn't the way I want it to be, or this is, there's always something, right? There's always something. You know, the tale of two cities, the story, it was the best of times and the worst of times. Have you ever had times where it's the best of times in your life, and it's also the worst of times? Yeah, absolutely. It's just like life. Absolutely. So nobody can bring you peace with yourself. Now please hear me. Your subconscious mind is a how-to machine. It only knows how to create what you think into it. Your conscious mind is the what machine. What do I want? Where am I going? What do I deserve? What's my life about? How can I make a difference? How can I leave this world a better place when I leave, such that when I go, I can look back and say, hey, I did a good job there. A good job. And the subconscious mind is, it just knows how. It just does. Am I making sense? It just does. So if you want to have a real high life, stop putting garbage into your subconscious mind, because every time you think, especially that obsessive thinking, right into the subconscious mind. E. Cummings said this: once we believe in ourselves, we can risk curiosity, wonder, and spontaneous delight, or any experience that reveals the human spirit. When you come alive on the inside, things come alive on the outside. When you become abundant on the inside, abundance comes from the outside. When you become happy on the inside, stuff starts happening to support the happiness on the outside. In every way, in your health. It's not about judging yourself. It's about using righteous judgment, right use of the law, which is judging from love. I want to close with a story I love, and it's a true story. There was a man, and his wife had passed on, and he was very, very lonely. He had a daughter, however, and she was 12 years old when this happened. She got very, very sick. She got a terminal illness, and she looked like she was in critical, care, and it looked like she wasn't going to make it. The doctors told her, we don't hold any hope out for your daughter getting well. And he thought about it on his way home from the hospital. He thought, I just hate you, God. I hate you, God. How could you do this to me? You took my wife from me. Now you're taking my daughter from me. How could you do this? And he got out of his very, very wealthy. He got out of his automobile, the front of his beautiful mansion. He thought, oh, this means nothing. And the gardener was there trimming the hedges, and the gardener said, good morning, sir. What a beautiful morning it is, isn't it? And he said, it's not a beautiful morning. It's a terrible morning. You know my daughter's sick. I should fire you. You know my daughter's sick. She's going to die. And the gardener said, well, with God, all things are possible. If she moves to the other side, oh, don't even talk about that. Well, I know your wife is on the other side. She believed. She knew she was going to the other side. Oh, don't even talk about that. He said, there's no way I can know that. He said, here's what I want you to do. He said, tonight, when you're alone, go into your yard, bring a blanket with you, and go into your yard, and imagine yourself at 5 or 6 years old, and look up into the stars and the heavens and ask yourself, who made this? who made this experience? Who made all of this? And allow yourself to be in the spirituality of the stars and the moon. You don't have to think about God or Jesus or any of that. Just be there with the immense creation and ask yourself, this intelligent person, what is the force? What is the intelligence, the mind that created this? And he did. And something happened inside of him. Something happened where it was all okay now that his daughter was going to pass away. And he got that childhood faith back that Jesus spoke about, become as a little child. He got the childhood faith back. And the next morning, he went to the hospital, and there were a lot of people standing outside the critical care unit. And he walked up, and the doctor said, I just don't believe it. And he says, what don't you believe? And he said, look inside. The daughter was sitting on the edge of the bed. True story, all the tubes were on a hook, and there she was. She said, hi, Daddy, 12 years old. And he cried, and he held her, and he thanked God. And he said, you know, something happened. Something happened. The little girl said, I know, Daddy. I know. I was going to leave you. I was going to go. And I saw myself going into that heavenly place, and Mom was there. And Mom said, what are you doing here? And I said to Mom, I've come to be with you. And Mom said, no, daughter, go back. Your father needs you. And he said, when did that happen? It was the same time he was having his oneness with God on the blanket. When you believe that there is a power greater than you, and God can take all of your problems, all of your anxiety, give it to God. Stop thinking about it and give it to God, and say, as the great man Jesus the Christ said, not my will be done, but thy will. Thank you, and so it is.